We good?
Oh yeah, we're going.
Hey guys.
All right. Hi guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Oil Drop Podcast. As per usual, it is myself, James. We have Adam, and there's also Arun. Adam being Sweet44722 on Reddit. Arun being Runetic5. Myself being Paul-McCartney-. That being said, today is Sunday, April the 30th, and Game 3 of the Oilers Round 2 series against the Anaheim Ducks is tonight, and it is in Edmonton. Just to sort of bring you up to speed, obviously, I'm sure you all know this, but Edmonton took 2 games on the road in Anaheim to start the series and find themselves in a fantastic position going forward here. Adam, I'll just start you off with this. What are your expectations here for the rest of the series? Do you think they can finish it off? Do you think they can sweep? What do you think?
I don't think the sweep is necessarily something we have to look forward to. That's a pretty big ask against a team as good as the Ducks. But I think at this point it'd be disappointing if they didn't win the series. Going 2 games up on the road where, the Oilers have been a good road team, but the Ducks are notoriously good at home. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be disappointing if they lose 4 of the next 6, 4 of the next 5. Like they have 2 games up. They're significantly statistically likely to win the series now. Especially I think the odds. Well, I'm not going to go there yet, but if there's this, isn't there a stat that's saying there's only a few teams who come back to win a series when they lose both of the first 2 games at home. So it's one of those things where it's at this point I'm looking for the team to win the series. I think they should win the series. If they don't, it'll be a pretty good collapse for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about you, Aaron?
I think at the end of the day the series is going to go to 6 or 7 games. And I'm still not sure who's going to be the winner. Looking really at Game 1, I would have told you, Edmonton's the better team, everything's close. But Game 2, Anaheim was leaps and bounds better in terms of overall play compared to Edmonton. But mind you, we came away with a victory mostly thanks to Cam Talbot becoming a god, for a lack of a better term. Yes. If you guys remember the phrase "Biombo is my father" during the time that the Toronto Raptors went on the playoff run last year, Cam Talbot is my father. A happy father of 3. That would be the best phrase to go off of. Anyway, I'm going to throw it to you, James. But in my opinion, I'm not going to be disappointed even if we win 4 games in a row to the Ducks. Because no one, like James O'Neill, for example, on the TSN analyst had us losing in 4. A bunch of people had us losing in 6. A bunch of people had us losing in 5. It was clearly the favorite in this series was Anaheim, and the sheer fact that we've clearly showed the rest of the hockey world that we are a team to be taken seriously is something that I'm more than happy with right now.
Yeah, I think that going into the series, Anaheim was definitely the favorite team, and for good reason. I mean, in Game 2, holy crap, the ice was tilted in the Ducks' favor. Like, I'm amazed that we got out of that game. I mean, Cam Talbot made a number of fantastic saves. There were at least 2 posts that the Ducks hit, and they got out by the skin of their teeth. Like, really, sometimes you just need a game like that to happen. Talbot really bailed them out, and they got lucky. Like, really, did they deserve to win that game? Probably not. Let's be real.
I mean, do you take that as maybe the team goes back and says, hey, we know we weren't good enough? And actually, I guess the team did say that in the post game. But do you think they take that as we learned our lesson now? This is their learning game of the series.
I don't know, man. Like, it's not like they weren't trying. Like, I don't think it's different. I thought this one was different because I didn't think that the Oilers were actually playing badly. They're just getting outplayed. Whereas the 7-0 game in San Jose, they were shit.
Yeah, every single player was bad. Goaltending was bad. Everything was bad.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a case of being outplayed or being shitty. I think they were outplayed. I don't think they were playing shitty.
Fair enough.
I do think on some level, though, there was definitely a lot of unforced errors that caused turnovers, and those are the ones that led to some really good quality chances against. For example, on the power play that led to the Kessler chance. Also, there was the one where Pouliot made a pass forward while crossing the blue line, and that turned into a scoring chance against. So it was just a plethora of like the same similar mistakes, except things didn't collapse. Like we had a really strong goaltending foundation. And yeah, we got hemmed in our own zone, but at the end of the day, the W's of what matters.
Exactly. They don't ask you how, they ask how many.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We're halfway there. And then let's say the Oilers beat the Ducks, go to the Western Conference Finals. Who do you want to play, the Predators or the Blues?
Ooh, the Blues. That's really easy. That's really easy.
For me, this is no contest because I was looking. I pulled up the stats from this matchups this season. And now, obviously, the playoffs are a different beast, and we look at it as a new season. But if you look at how we played the St. Louis Blues, we were 3-0 against them. We were 8-4 in terms of goals, 4 goals against.
Yeah.
It was
we swept them for the first time since like 2009 or something like that.
And that was early in the season. We finished the season playing better than we started. Like we started 7-1.
They also finished better than they started. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Jake Allen's second half of the season. Jake Allen's nothing like first half of the season.
This is true. So that's the other aspect because Jake Allen's standing on his head. But if you look at the Predators, we were 0-2-1 against them with 6 goals for and 10 goals against, and that was when Pekka Rinne wasn't playing God mode.
We were have a tremendous 7-game losing streak against the Predators.
Yeah, so
7,
yes,
dating back 2 years. So for me, I think it's the Blues. The Blues are a good team, and they're still a good team. Even without Kevin Shattenkirk, who's been awful for the Caps in the playoffs so far.
Yeah, that one doesn't
I still think that we match up better than the Blues. In terms of size, too, the Blues aren't the same pulverizing team they were a few years ago. They're a lot smaller than they are. But the Predators, on the other hand, are huge. And playoff Subban is not Subban I want to face.
Yes. Playoff Subban has been an absolute monstrosity. Do we want to quickly talk about Shattenkirk, that whole situation there, considering that might be a topic especially for the off season, or do we want to just continue talking about the Oilers?
Let's go with this second round matchup, and then maybe we can talk about that after.
Okay. So then, I guess in terms of a quick good, bad, and the ugly, I'm shifting a little bit in terms of topics here.
Well, James, what do you? What team do you think we should face?
Easily the Blues, like for the same reasons you guys kind of mentioned. I feel like the Predators underachieved in the regular season somehow. They were great. I always thought that they were great throughout the regular season, and I don't think that the Oilers match up against them very well. Whereas with the Blues, Kevin Shattenkirk hasn't been lights out for Washington, but he's still like a pretty big subtraction from their blue line. So, I think Edmonton could beat St. Louis.
Okay, just as a score update, because there's a hockey game going on right now. The Predators are up 1-0 against St. Louis. It is 3 minutes 20 seconds left in the first. Goal from Ryan Ellis, assisted by Philip Forsberg, and of course PK Subban.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I wrong in saying the Predators were one of the they were picked by a lot of analysts to be one of the Cup favorites this year at the beginning of the season?
I don't think they were. I think they were picked to be one of the better teams this season, but I don't believe that they were picked by many teams to be the Cup favorite. I think Montreal was picked by more people.
It was like Montreal. I think it was like Montreal, Nashville, Washington, and then I think they actually said the Ducks again this year would be a good team.
No, I think it was Pittsburgh was in place of Nashville. Yeah, and Pittsburgh still looks ridiculous in the East. I guess on that topic, let's assume, big assumptions here, we make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Who do you want to face? Who would you not want to face?
I would not want to face Pittsburgh.
Yes.
God, no.
Oh, God. I would not want to face Pittsburgh.
Ottawa.
I would want to face...
I don't want to face Ottawa.
Oh, man. Probably the Rangers. The Rangers or Ottawa. I would probably pick the Rangers because they're so shitty at home for some reason. So...
And they don't have Carlson.
Yeah.
Carlson's just been
Ottawa
just
has
destroying
Carlson.
the Rangers.
Yeah.
He has a hairline
Yeah.
fracture in his heel, and he's still destroying the Rangers.
Yeah.
Trump card.
What's your call there, Adam?
Rangers too.
Rangers.
Yeah.
What about who do you not want?
Who do I not want?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh?
Or
See,
Washington, for that matter.
Here's the thing. I think we can match up really well against Pittsburgh and match their play style. But honestly, the team that scares me the most in the East is Ottawa. Because Ottawa, in every single chance, like every single matchup that they've gone up against, they've clearly, like, you give it to any analyst with all the numbers, and they'll say, like, yeah, the favorite is Montreal. The favorite, or not Montreal, was it Boston? The favorite is the Rangers. And, like, you look at that game that Ottawa came back in and won in overtime. Like, in NHL history, only one player ever has managed to score 4 goals, including the overtime winner. And this is a team that basically, for a lack of a better term, seems to be blessed by the hockey gods to make it very far. So that's really a team that sometimes, luck's a stat too, in a way. And the Oilers have been getting a lot of luck in their favor, but I'm not too excited to go up against that luck.
It's the return of the pesky Sens, and the scary thing is Boucher, when he took over tenure, had said, "I'm going to make this team into a team that wins 1-goal games," and every game they've won in the last 7 straight has been 1-goal games.
1-goal games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And the Oilers play a lot of 1-goal games, so that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's all assuming a lot, but.
Equally terrifying is the fact that Carlson has been like ridiculous, and just really hard to deal with. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent there. You chimed in as well, James. I guess who do you like on the topic of like our current series? Bieksa has now been not completely ruled out, but technically ruled out for the rest of the series. What do you think the impact will be in the absence of Bieksa for that series? Adam, did you want to start that?
Is he playing their second or third line?
He plays the third line with Shea Theodore.
Now, the scary thing to me is that without Fowler, Vatanen, without Fowler, Vatanen, and Lindholm, the Ducks still swept the Flames.
Yep.
So with those 3 back in the lineup and Bieksa out, yeah, Bieksa is a good player, but they have so many young up and coming defensemen that I don't think it's going to be an issue for them.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue at all.
No, you look at their top 3, and then you add in the fact that Shea Theodore and Montador were both playing in the first round and just destroyed in the first round.
I mean, Corbinian, Holzer drew in for Kevin Bieksa, and it's like, okay, well, Corbinian, Holzer, like, he's barely an NHL defenseman, and that's how I look at Kevin Bieksa at this point in time as well. When Vancouver went on their cup run, Bieksa was
their shutdown
defenseman.
Player. Yeah,
he was a pretty solid player, but that was 6 years ago. He is what is he now? 35. He
was looking that up. He is 35.
Yeah,
he turns 36.
Yeah,
turns 36 this year.
36. Okay, so I mean, he's at the tail end of his career as it is. He's a third liner. Whatever. He turns 36 in June. There you go.
Yeah. No,
So-
he's on the way out. It's kind of expected, and
yeah,
I don't think this will impact them.
There's a lot of talk and buzz on the internet about Bieksa being out, and I can't help thinking, like, who cares? The Ducks are fine without him, honestly.
yeah.
If it was, sorry, go ahead, Arun.
No. I think the key reason that opinion is coming through is simply because he did play a strong role in the playoffs against the Calgary Flames in their first sweep. That would be the main reason why people are chiming in on Twitterverse and whatnot, saying that, Bieksa's out, this is going to be a problem for the Ducks. And then you add to that, when Bieksa hasn't played or played only like 3 minutes in the game, they've lost the game at this point, right? Even if it is more of a small sample size and a technicality almost when you're calling that stat, it still is the stat. So there is an understanding there of why that statement is being made, but I'm of the opinion, although a reduced opinion with you guys, that definitely he's not as great as everyone's making him out to be. and he is a Shadow S4 himself. But that being said, if you look at their blue line and you look at basically physicality in their blue line, the name that pops out to you every time would be Kevin Bieksa, and that's the big guy that they're be missing from that. So that would mean that mind you, this team as a whole is a team that's going to finish every single one of their checks, and if they can go through the boards with you, they will.
I was gonna say, their defense, I guess their top four is fairly one-dimensional. It's mobile. It's it's more offensive minded.
That's not bad, but yeah.
No, it's great. It's fantastic, but it's not going to level you. Fowler is for the most part just not that type of defenseman. Vatanen, definitely not. Lindholm put a chokehold on. He put a chokehold on Maroon last game that I thought should have been a penalty for sure. Yeah. But there's no Chris Prongers there. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the game plan tonight too. Is you're gonna see early in the game the forwards are gonna run the defensemen through the boards. Every time the puck goes in deep against the Ducks defensemen, they're gonna get plastered.
Yeah,
and I think so you're going to see. I think even Nuge and McDavid throw hits early in the game, and I know of course they'll be casting Letestu. Even Desharnais will throw whatever he has, which is not a whole lot at him. But it's going to be the Ducks defensemen are going to be in pain tonight because they don't have anybody to retaliate. The forwards are big for the Ducks and they'll retaliate, but the defensemen can't fight back.
Let's not cut them out yet, but
no, but not to the same extent as you could, for example, with the Sharks defense.
Yeah.
They would come back at you hard.
How hard?
Burns going to run you over.
If they could, they would come at you even harder. Yeah.
You just the only pressing issue becomes if you're going to throw that hit, make sure it doesn't put you out of position because what the Ducks defense will do is make you pay for it.
Yeah, their mobility it's really good. I would say it's just as good as the Oilers. The Oilers have a pretty mobile defense too, but the Ducks, they can move the puck. So
yeah. Actually, on the topic of Nugent Hopkins, who you had mentioned, do we want to quickly switch over to what you thought was the good, the bad, and ugly for games 1 and 2? Let's just combine them and then do a quick analysis.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's start off with something easy and talk about the ugly. And I'm going to throw that to James. You want to take that one first? For games 1 and 2. The ugly. Yeah.
Is this a player specifically or a
your
concept?
Call? If you think it's a player, if you think it's a style, if you think it's a certain kind of mistake, if you think it's anything in particular that you want to point out, go ahead.
Pouliot's been pretty bad. He's lazy. He doesn't. I feel like the play just really dies on his stick. I was really hoping that he would have something of a renaissance in the playoffs here, and be a veteran player, leadership, blah blah blah. But he's really buried down there on the fourth line, and I kind of almost forget that he's on the team until I see him on his odd shift, and he rarely does anything good. So, pretty easy pick for me.
Is that your ugly or your bad?
That's my ugly.
Ooh, that's your
the
ugly.
The bad? Well, no. You guys can go.
Yeah. Adam, you're ugly?
Their penalty kills. Well, not penalty kills, sorry. Probably our zone entries right now. It seems like we're going offside more than any other team in the league is right now. And it's like I'm watching the Senators and them and the Rangers have been icing the puck constantly. And that's been a theme in that series. But I think for us right now, it's our offsides and our face-offs. We're getting destroyed on the dots. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Especially Nuge. He's never been a face-off specialist, but he's getting swept every single time right now. And when you're down one late in the game in your own zone and you can't win a face-off, that becomes an issue. So that's the ugly for me right now.
On the topic of face-offs, before any of our viewers get the wrong impression there, I did want to talk about that face-offs. On the whole, in terms of, a success for an NHL hockey team to be successful, they're not that important in terms of you need a face-off specialist or anything like that. But when it comes to that key face-off, it's a minute left in the game.
Situational.
Yeah, situational, yeah. It's very much of a situational stat, but when you look at, game 1 where they won off, the Eves goal was off of a clean face-off win from Getzlaf. Right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I did like, and I was watching the NBC cast for the first game, and so I forget who the analyst was. He was talking about how he talked about Gan Gulutzan or whatever the Calgary's coach name is. I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. And he said they quickly realized that, there's no point in trying to win the faceoffs against this Anaheim team, and their focus became instead to tie or to make the faceoff as messy as possible for the Anaheim team. Do you think the Oilers should go about trying this strategy, or do you think it's just, those incidents where they did score like that were just flashes in the pan?
I mean, flash in the pan or not, if it happens once a game, that's a goal per game right there.
Yeah.
Did it happen the second game? I forget what the second game goal against was.
Not sure. But
it was a Silfverberg goal. No, it didn't happen.
No. So it's one of those things where it shouldn't be imperative. Like, you're not going to place your entire game plan on winning one face-off. But it's an interesting strategy that Gulutzan implemented. But their issue was they were losing so many off penalties because they were taking so many penalties that they got. Or, sorry, their power play. Anaheim's power play was garbage. But it was I don't know, penalty kill was garbage. The power play was doing really well. Sorry, no. They kept losing them off the penalties while in the PK. And if you're going to lose a face-off on the PK, that's what you want to try to do, is muck up the dot as much as possible, because if they get a clean face-off draw, then they have possession in the zone.
And then it's set
for
plays.
The entirety. Yeah. And then you're in trouble.
Yeah. Set plays are the danger with clean face-off wins, because that's the coach's dream, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's your ugly then. It would be the face-off wins and the
zone entries.
Zone entries, right. Yeah, I did want to talk about that in that I agree with you. Zone entries and face-off wins have been not great on both sides. But I think we're going back to an old habit of ours that I want the Oilers to turn away from, and that is turnovers. Turnovers primarily in neutral zone. This, again, is associated with poor zone entries and the fact that, they're trying to mix things up to make the zone entry more successful, and that's also leading to turnovers. So that's something that the Oilers need to make sure that they're cleaning up from their game, perhaps with designated puck carriers or whatnot. But Anaheim is getting smartening up and seeing that, the pass is going to come from the Oiler that's skating it in. Either it'll come before the blue line or after the blue line, and that's when you strike back and try to get a if you're a fan of basketball, a fast break back the other way. So that covers the ugly. On a quick point, I will defend Pouliot really quickly and think that he's contributing well, but on the whole, that fourth line hasn't been spectacular for us, so I will agree with you, James. What are your good before we go to the bad?
Cam Talbot.
Yeah.
Yep. Easy. And
he didn't have a good game one. Let's be honest here. He did not have a good game one.
No, but at that point, neither did Gibson, and neither did, really the defense didn't help him out too much in the first game.
I mean, Talbot for me is like an early Conn Smythe favorite. There's no skaters that I would consider to be Conn Smythe favorites. Draisaitl is a stretch.
Not a stretch, really. He's definitely in the conversation.
He's a bit of a stretch.
No, he's not.
He's a bit of a stretch to me, but
he did have 7 points in 3 games.
I was gonna say last couple games, this series so far, Leon Draisaitl has been dominating.
Yeah,
and I think that's because what we said before the series started too, where we said that they'd be focusing so much on McDavid that Draisaitl was going to be left alone a lot of times, and that's what's happening right now.
Well, they abandoned that. They kind of abandoned that in Game 2, the matchups, because they just wanted to tie the game, the Ducks, and so you'd have like Getzlaf against McDavid and Kessler against Draisaitl. They didn't do the matchup game as much as I thought they were going to. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they get off to a good start, Anaheim. If they get off to a good start tonight, I can feasibly see them going back to do that again.
I think from now on, if they're going to because McClellan has stated the fact that he will not match up. He didn't do matchups during the season because he wants the team to get used to playing with tough matchups and stuff like that. Because that's what you're going to do in the playoffs. So that makes sense, but to an extent, you kind of have to line match when you have the home ice advantage.
did state, though, that he was line matching primarily to neutralize offensive threats. That was with the Sharks game. And definitely he was putting out the Nugent Hopkins line whenever the Getzlaf line was out.
I think to win one game this series at the very least, that Nugent Hopkins line is going to have to produce points.
They did.
Because I know, but they're going to have to produce.
Nugent has 2 points in 2 games. Everly has 1 assist.
One of the games. They're going to have to win one of the games for the Oilers.
They got assists on the winning goal.
Never mind. You know what? Okay, I meant like produce as in produce for the entire offense for a game. Because realistically, yeah, that's not normal, but it's with the way the Ducks are playing the top line of the Oilers, and with the way the second line of the Oilers are playing defensively, they also need to contribute offensively for a full game. Like right now, they're contributing in bits and pieces, which they weren't doing up until the series. But it's just gonna be one of those things where they're gonna have to steal a game for us, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would definitely say it's definitely, we've talked about this a few times now. It's not for a lack of trying. Nugent Hopkins has 2 assists now in 8 games, and that was primarily because the first 6 games he went without a point. But that being said, he's still tied for the lead, for the team lead in shots on goal with Connor McDavid. So definitely, it's not for a lack of trying. And I will try to find the zone starts, but I don't believe they're favorable in his wheelhouse. And on top of that, he is the 3rd on the team in minutes played on shorthanded as well. So definitely a lot of his time is being spent towards killing offensive threats as opposed to producing them. And getting 20 shots in that time frame still is quite impressive, all things considered.
That's true.
Yeah. James, sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
Talbot's my good. I said that.
Yeah.
Already.
Oh, sorry. I forgot. Adam was talking last. That's my bad. Adam, did you finish off your good, or do you want to add to it?
I had said Draisaitl, McDavid. Draisaitl and Talbot.
Draisaitl and Talbot. My good for the first 2 games. Definitely the first game was Draisaitl. I thought he was very good in the quality of play that he was putting forward. Surprisingly, and I know I'm not well liked for putting this forward, but I definitely think that Nugent Hopkins has been a key factor in both games in terms of what he's brought in trying to at least neutralize the Getzlaf threat. Like their 5-on-5 scoring is severely reduced, and primarily Getzlaf's points all come from power play time. So it's really good the what's being brought up there, but also that just sort of got into the bad in that the penalty kill needs to be improved upon, so then the Ducks don't score as much in a 5-on-4 situation. And then their last good, obviously enough, is going to be Cam Talbot, and the fact that our defense has been bad in terms of producing turnovers, but they've been good in the sense that they're always there and always ready to support Talbot whenever he needs that support. To give you an example, there was we were tied at 3-3 in the first game, and Draisaitl gets a stick lift, preventing a sure goal from, I believe it was Patrick Eaves. Do you guys remember who it was? Pardon?
There was something like that, yeah.
It was Eaves, yeah. I know that beard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going off the beard too, I'll be honest with you. Off of Patrick Eaves, and that was a big one. And then you have, so that's the Patrick Eaves one. Then there was the stick lift. Oh, geez, I'm trying to remember all of them, but there's like a lot of key stick lifts, a lot of like pucks in the blue paint, and the Oilers first one there clearing it out of there. So even if we got hemmed in our own zone and we didn't have a fantastic game, as James had put it before we started casting today, they didn't feel like the worst, like a bad team. They just felt like they were being overplayed. Outplayed. Yeah. Whoops.
Yep. No, I can't disagree.
Yeah. And then, sorry, I'm going off on huge rants here. I apologize for that. So bad. I'm gonna reverse it. Do you guys mind if I start bad, Adam, and then James? So James, you can get one to finish.
Go for it.
Sure. So I think the power penalty kill has not been great. Adam, could you pull up? I don't have team stats with me at the moment. I apologize. But are you able to find power play percentage at
I
all?
can try. Give me 1 second.
Because I can find it out for the entire series, but not particularly for. It's a horrible way of putting that
For
together.
the playoffs or for this?
Playoffs, yeah. For this series, if you could, actually.
That might be harder.
Okay. Yeah, just for the playoffs in general, the Edmonton Oilers are running it at 20%, which is great. You know, that's a big part of what the offense has been producing. Consider the fact that we were around 12% in the first series and we went up. That's really important considering that that's producing a lot of our offense. Problem is the Anaheim power play is running at a solid 25%, while the Oilers penalty kill has dropped to below 80%. It's not that this is necessarily unacceptable, but considering that a lot of the Ducks scoring is now coming from a man advantage situation, it's a great opportunity for us to work on improving that to prevent so many power play goals coming in. Obviously, there was some situations where you get miraculous goal posts and other saves coming in. Especially in the game 2 where they had that power play, they were constantly all over the Oilers like a bunch of piranhas. But a little bit of puck luck and it doesn't go in. But next game might be the one where none of the puck luck goes in our favor. So we really can't be forcing this issue. Anyway, that's my point. Adam, did you want to chime in, or are you going to look at that stat first?
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. So for me, the bad would probably be, let's see. I got 2 that I can think of. So,
sorry.
Ahead,
no, you finish. I'll bring that up after.
Okay. So I think for me, face-off win percentage, I think that for this series, we're at a 39.7% face-off win percentage. Again, you kind of stated that it's not the be-all, end-all for establishing possession and getting good scoring chances, but at the same time, giving up that many face-off wins to a team like the Ducks, I think it honestly will come back and bite you in the ass eventually. Yeah. You can't win 40% of face-offs and expect to have a lot of possession, as we saw in Game 2. And, that's mine.
Okay, I'm going to add one more before we give it to Adam. Another bad for me is we really need to get more shots on goal. Among all 16 teams in the playoffs, we are, or that made the playoffs, we are the 3rd worst for shots on goal. Teams worse than us were the Boston Bruins, which doesn't make a lot of sense, honestly. They just had a really awful series. And the St. Louis Blues. And
that's Jake Allen's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, pretty much. St. Louis Blues it's just ridiculous and totally screams unsustainable because their shots for per game is 26.3, and their shots against per game is 34. They're not the worst. Surprisingly, the worst are the Pittsburgh Penguins, but they're definitely up there. On a positive point, however, I will note that the Oilers are not they're in the bottom half of shots against. They are. I'm trying to sorted by best. That's probably the best way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th best for shots against, which puts them pretty much exactly near the middle, but still technically better half of teams. That 40 shot games like last one, Game 2, doesn't help. Adam.
Yes, I couldn't for the life of me find that stat in this game. But I will say, in the series, I couldn't find it. I'm going to keep looking for it. But according to the Elias Sports Bureau, or Elias, whatever I want to say it, teams that take a 2-0 series, 2-0 lead in the series, go on to win 88.6% of the time. And teams that win both on the road go on to win 79.3% of the time. But the issue for tonight Looking at the reports of the players involved, Richie was a late scratch with the flu in Game 2, but he's a game-time decision tonight. And Kajula is out for Game 2.
Oh,
Pakarinen is
Kaju's
expected
out?
to play. Yeah,
Kajula's
Kajula, who
out.
left Game 2 with an undisclosed injury after crashing the boards in the second period, is not expected to play. Pakarinen will expect to play. Yep. So that's from the NHL preview. It's we're going with the good, right? The bad, no, bad.
Yeah, the bad now.
Bad. Still a face-off thing. It's again, we can't place too much emphasis on it, but it's gonna be interesting. The other side of it is, I'm pretty sure the Ducks this year. I'm gonna double check this real quick on the score app, but I'm pretty sure the Ducks were a good road team. The Ducks this year away record were they were 17, 15, and 9. So they were very average on the road. Whereas the Oilers were 22, 14, and 5. 25, 12, and 4 at home. So if we're looking at it, the Oilers actually, at the Honda Center this year, the Ducks were 29, 8, and 4. So the fact that the Oilers stole 2 games, I wouldn't say stole.
I would say stole 1 game, but
stole 1 game, absolutely. So Talbot stole 1 game.
Yeah.
The fact that they're up 2 going home is a good sign. But going back to the bad, when this team gets emotional, they take bad penalties. And if you take bad penalties against a good team, they're going to bite you in the ass. So again, like we talked about discipline, and yes, they're not taking as many penalties in this game. The penalties this series are much more equal. But I think it's going to come down to, if the Ducks are going to come out and play hard because they're down 2-0 and they know they need to get an edge up, and Perry and Kessler and Getzlaf and everybody's going to be trying to get all the guys under their skin, to get under skin. They have to stay composed.
Yeah, they do.
And they do, because they...
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right. Continue.
I was going to say, because when it does get heated, the Oilers have a penchant for taking bad penalties so far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers all aspects of the last 2 games, unless you guys want to add in something to conclude.
No, I think that's about it.
No, we've
beaten this one to death.
Yeah,
we have.
It is only 2 games, so.
Oh, only 2 games, but in all honesty, in a playoff series, you only need to win 4 for the series to end, right?
We need to go. What? There's 6 games left. We need to go at 33%, 0.33 for them to win the series.
Yeah,
so,
but
it is the Ducks.
Just to like point it out,
right.
I mean, McClellan is. If you look at teams in the last little while that have failed to close out a 3-0 series lead. One is the Boston Bruins, who Milan Lucic played for, against Philly. And then the other one is very recently, or much more recently rather, a Todd McClellan coached Sharks that failed to capitalize on a 3-0 series lead against the
LA Kings, who went on to win the Cup that year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The thing about the Philly series too is that Philly didn't even win the Cup that year. They made it to the finals and then lost to Chicago.
I think I figured out a way to find the playoff percent, or the percent. So give me a second here. So far in our playoffs, total. That's not. I don't want team summary. I want.
Okay.
We're looking at penalty kill, right, or power play?
A little bit of both. A little column A, a little column B.
Right. So power play so far.
Mm-hmm. This series or playoffs?
Every game. Selbo's telling me for every game now.
Okay.
For this series. It should be for this series. Why is it not giving me this series? Summer results. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong game.
So
Sorry.
while Adam is pulling that up, James.
Okay. We're at in this playoffs. We're running at 33% power play.
Woo!
In this series, and
That's
our
nice.
penalty kill is running at 71.4%. So our penalty kill is definitely not working at peak capacity. Like 9% lower than our season average, but the power play is dominating right now.
Yeah, absolutely dominating, but still 9% below season average is definitely not
For
that
penalty
great.
kills, not good. No.
Like if you look at the Stanley Cup champions, a lot of them in the past don't necessarily have great power plays, but they definitely have good penalty kills.
That's a fair point. Yeah. If you're going to take penalties, you got to make sure you kill them off. The Anaheim Ducks, on the other hand, their power play is running at 28%, like you said. So it's one of those things where if our penalty kill is going to be bad, or if we're going to take a lot of penalties, our penalty kill better be bad or better be good because the Ducks' power play is good right now.
Cool. All right. Okay. So, what are your guys' expectations for tonight's game? Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to score the game-winning goal? And what do you think the final result will be? I'm going to start it off. I think it's going to be a 3-1 win for Anaheim. I think it's going to be one of those wake-up calls for the Oilers, so then they finally come out stronger and in Game 4 and win that game. But I think it's going to be a loss, and I think the biggest thorn in the Oilers' back has been Jakob Silfverberg, or however you pronounce his name.
Silfverberg, you're right.
Silfverberg,
right.
Okay. And I think he's going to score the game winner. James?
I'll say the Oilers win 3-2. 3-1 is never a good thing. I don't think
Oh,
games
yes.
3-1.
I forgot that. Yeah.
I'll say the Oilers win
stat.
3-2. I'll say the Oilers win 3-2, and I think Lucic will get the game-winning goal.
I'm gonna say 4-2 for the Oilers, empty net goal. But the reason being, the Oilers have only lost one game at home so far in the playoffs, and that one game was the first game of the playoffs when they were really not used to the playoff atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
They were used to level play.
Mm-hmm.
I think the crowd pushes them to the next level today, and they went 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Nuge finally breaks his playoff drought and gets a goal tonight.
The game-winning goal, then, huh?
Game-winning goal.
Okay.
Nice.
One thing I did want to point out really quickly is one phrase that I think really stands out in the series is out of the ordinary. And the reason I point that out is the Ducks had not lost a game in regulation in 18 games until Game 1 loss against the Oilers. The Ducks had not lost 2 games in a row in regulation the whole season since its start.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost 2 games in regulation against the Oilers. Definitely, this series has been a lot of, what was expected is definitely not what's happening. And it could be that, the home ice, which has been a huge advantage for the Oilers, especially down the stretch, could stop being that, just off of the trends of the series in general.
It's possible, but
yeah.
Trends of the playoffs too are pointing to something different. I think a lot of people underestimate the Oilers. Maybe the Ducks did initially because they came out so much stronger in Game 2.
Yes.
It'll be interesting in Game 3. There's a lot of factors going into Game 3. I think the crowd is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
When you can sell out 2 games when you're not even in the stadium, tonight's going to be crazy.
It is absolutely going to be crazy. You can get tickets right now for $300.
That's not actually too bad, all things considered.
Yeah, they're like non-standard.
Could I do it?
seats.
Yeah, could I do it? Yes. Do I want to spend $300 to maybe watch the Oilers get pumped? No, I do not. Nope.
Exactly. So we did cover the Oilers extensively at this point. We did mention really quickly about Shattenkirk and the series with Pittsburgh against Washington. So Pittsburgh's in a very similar series to us. They're up 2-0 with away games. They're now going to be playing on home ice starting tomorrow. And they completely blew up the Capitals in Game 2. Do you think that makes Pittsburgh the favorites for the Cup among remaining teams? For question 1, and B, do you think it's pretty much a done thing in terms of Ovechkin likely will never win a Cup?
Ooh, those are heavy questions.
Controversial, heavy questions. Let's go.
I think Pittsburgh's definitely the favorite to win the Cup. Like I look at
Kessler.
I look at Ottawa and
Kessel,
the Rangers. I look at Ottawa and the Rangers. Neither of them really jumps out at me. Maybe Nashville coming from the West, but I think Pittsburgh would still beat them.
And Nashville and the Oilers.
Nashville and the Oilers. I don't know if we can beat Nashville.
No, I don't think we can beat Nashville.
Yeah, so I think Nashville has a good chance to come out of the West, but who knows? And then as far as Ovechkin winning a cup, jeez, man, I don't know. Like, how do you even react if he loses to Pittsburgh again in the playoffs? Like, I almost feel bad for him. I do feel bad.
In the boating accident.
The Washington Capitals' history with the Pittsburgh Penguins is actually ridiculous. Pittsburgh Penguins holds the record for the most number of times that a professional sports team has eliminated another specific professional sports team in a playoff series.
Really?
1-8, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, 1-8, and soon to be 1-9.
And
every year, pretty much, that Pittsburgh beats the Washington Capitals, they have a good chance of at least making it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
So you're calling this one over, then?
I would call that one over.
I wouldn't call it over yet. But one thing's definitely for sure, the obvious MVP in the series is not one person that anyone at the beginning of this playoffs thought would be the MVP, and that is Fleury.
Yeah, Fleury
He has been...
Yeah.
It's worth noting, by the way, the Predators are currently 1-1 against the Penguins this season.
Ooh.
7 goals for, 3 goals against, 5 goals against.
And on the topic of the Predators are now up 2-0 on St. Louis.
Yeah, Cody McLeod scored unassisted. Yeah, I don't know.
Not unassisted. Assisted by Colton Sissons, who's been really good, and Matthias Ekholm.
Okay, so good to know that the score app's garbage. Sweet. It's that weird thing. I don't think the Capitals are done. Just because you have Holtby and Ovechkin, who are game breakers, along with Backstrom for that matter. Like it's one of those things where they could turn a game easily. But with the way the Penguins have been playing and the fact that Gensel and Rust and Sheary and Crosby and Malkin and everyone, they're playing with a Letang and they're still dominating. Like it's absurd. I think they're gonna go to the finals. I think they're the Cup favorite right now. But I think if Nashville makes it through, it's going to be an interesting matchup. But I think the Caps, man, the Caps got to do something to get away from the Pens, though. My God, every year.
Pretty much as soon as that playoff structure was changed to the divisions, it was pretty much doomed for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, because they're such a dominant team in the regular season. But as for Ovechkin, I think they have next year is probably the last year. I know we keep saying that, but next year is probably the final year Ovechkin has to win the cup, and that's dependent on if he goes home or not for the KHL. Because depending on what happens with the playoffs or the Olympics, where the NHL is now saying they're going to look at it later, Obi might bail. If he wants to play in Russia and they won't let or for Russia and they won't let NHL players go regardless if they have NHL contracts, Obi will end his contract.
Because as far as Obi's concerned, winning a gold medal is pretty much the same as the Stanley Cup.
If not more for him, because it's national pride.
Exactly. Yeah.
After this season, TJ Oshie is UFA. Justin Williams, UFA.
Oh, no.
Evgeny Kuznetsov, RFA. Andrei Burakovsky, RFA. Carl Alsner, Kevin Shattenkirk, obviously both UFAs. Their backup, Philip Grubauer, RFA. So, there's some important players there that need to be re-signed, and I can't imagine that Evgeny Kuznetsov is going to re-sign at $3 million. So
no, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to really rely on having TJ Oshie. He's a pretty good player, but he's going to be the sought after UFA this year. He's going to be overpaid. Him and Shattenkirk are going to be severely overpaid this year.
Oshie, I can see. Shattenkirk, I think I would open the bank for Shattenkirk.
Yeah, I mean, a team will, but he'll still get overpaid. He'll get term. It'll be like Lucic, but he'll probably get the AAV he wants, but at a term that no team is really going to be super comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
And on that topic, there was a controversial thread that popped up in the Reddit.com or hockey. And that was, does Shattenkirk deserve that contract, especially after the playoff performance that he's put up? And do you guys want to chime in on that at all, even regardless of how controversial of an opinion that may be?
I think, yeah.
Say that again?
So the argument is that Shattenkirk, who is notorious for what was the right putting out poor playoff performances? Does he deserve the $7 million likely a year contract that he would be pretty much asking for and likely be getting in the offseason? Because if you look at his point totals, if you look at his point totals, I will look it up in terms of skaters because my mouth has disappeared. But I believe he was either 4th or 5th amongst all defensemen in scoring for the season.
Yeah, like he is the type of defenseman that will get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
He was
they
4th.
Don't pay,
he was 4th with 56 points in 80 games.
Yeah,
they don't pay players to win playoff games unless you're someone like Justin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
They pay them to make the playoffs, and you have a team cohesiveness that wins.
Yeah, and once you're there, who knows what'll happen?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can play poorly your entire career in the playoffs, and you have 1 year where all of a sudden you go ape shit, and that's the year that matters.
Like Carlson right now.
You don't pay a player for poor play. You don't you can say, hey, we're going to take this much off your contract because you can't perform in playoffs, but they might tie it to a bonus thing.
Yeah.
Where you produce this in the playoffs, we'll give you a nice little bonus, and that's probably what will happen.
Yeah. 7x7, would I give it to Shattenkirk? I'd hesitate, but I probably would.
Yeah.
Shattenkirk is going to be that guy that goes, okay, well, you're not going to give me what I want. I'll just go to these 6 other teams that are lining up to sign me. Yeah. And he's that guy this year.
Definitely is that guy this year. And to add to that, even if he's been not great in the playoffs, he's still tied with Niskanen for the most points from a defenseman. So it's not as if he's magically the one at fault here. But on the whole, Alzner's not been great. Niskanen hasn't been great. And to add to that, Brooks Orpik has not been a great pairing with Shattenkirk for these playoffs, and that was commented on through most of the regular season. But one thing's for absolutely sure: do you guys? I'm of the opinion that did Washington make a mistake making this trade? I don't think they did. And the reason that I will point that out is, Shattenkirk, yes, he was, they did play quite a bit in order to get him onto the team. And he is definitely a rental because there's no way they can afford him, along with the other contracts, numerous other contracts that they have to either renew, resign, or whatnot. He did put up the second most points of any player that was moved after the trade, for the trade deadline onward. So, anyone that was moved at that time, and the number one was for Colorado Avalanche, Andrietto or whatnot, his name was.
Andrietto.
So so Shattenkirk is definitely valuable, but the reason that we're talking about this as well is when free agency comes, I think if so long as Chiarelli is thinking reasonably, he's going to take at least a look at Shattenkirk. So this is definitely going to play a role in that whole dynamic.
That's something for offseason, but I don't think we get involved in that one.
Holy shit! Ryan Ellis has 7 points in 6 games.
Yep.
Holy shit! I didn't even notice that.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, let's move on to the draft lottery.
Lottery.
We've beaten the NHL playoffs to death here. So draft lottery happened yesterday. So the Devils will draft first, Flyers second, Stars third. Colorado Avalanche had the best overall odds, and they were bad this last season. They've dropped down to 4th. What's your reaction to the draft lottery? Do you guys laugh? Do you feel bad? Do you want it tinkered with some more? What do you guys think?
I look at some people from what was the place again? Vancouver. Vancouver was a big one, where they would always come in and they would always say, the Oilers are being rewarded for bad management. They're being rewarded for tanking. They're being rewarded by so many first overall picks, yada, yada, yada. And then, because of that pressure, because of people constantly saying they're being rewarded for being bad, they changed the draft lottery and kept changing it and kept changing it and kept changing it. And now they've reaped, in a sense, of what they've sown, where it's hard to look at a team and go, they're bad. Because they're bad, they deserve an opportunity to get a good player to get better, because that's the basis on which parity should be made, right? And this is in a sense like, yeah, I feel bad for them, but you brought this on yourself.
I think it was kind of inevitable. I mean, we look at the last 2 years and you look at the bad teams, and there's no guarantees anymore, right? Like at one point, it was guaranteed if the Sabres didn't win the lottery, they were guaranteed second. So they didn't win McDavid, but they won Eichel, and it's like so it was really realistic at that point. It was you're going to get a good player regardless of where you finish. And now because they changed the system, the team in second was the Vancouver Canucks, and now they're back down to fifth. So for the second straight year, they've dropped 3 spots. And yeah, I mean that sucks ass, but it was kind of inevitable with this whole thing.
Yeah, and then the worst among them is the Coyotes.
Got shafted again. Yeah. They're drafting
seventh. Whoops.
The Knights
are drafting sixth.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's just. I mean, if you look at the Flyers, they missed the playoffs by 7 points, and now they're going to get one of the. So this draft year obviously isn't great, but there are 2 players that stand out, and they're getting one of those 2 players.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Flyers are not a terrible team.
Especially because they have such a good young core coming up. They have like 5 or 6 defensemen that are going to be stellar. It looks like they're going to be stellar. They have 2 good goaltending prospects. They have a couple good forward prospects, and this is just going to add to that fleet. Now they have the option of maybe whoever they get, maybe Hersher. It looks like they're probably going to Hersher. If Claude Giroux doesn't look like he's going to be a good player for very much longer, or Jakub Voracek is starting to fall off a cliff, they can just trade one of the 2, get more picks for that, build up the stock, and go. Like, they're never going to have a down period because of this.
Yeah, honestly, it's like a dream come true for the Flyers because they have so many defensive prospects coming through the works and almost nothing for offense that clearly doesn't stand out as like this could be a top 6 guy. That this is just like wonderful for management because they're going like, okay, we've got a guarantee now.
Yeah, so Nolan Patrick or Nico Hershier, both of those guys, are they generational talents? No.
They might turn into yak talents, which is disconcerting for sure.
No, but they could be. They're more of like franchise, not cornerstones, but they're franchise players.
Regardless, I mean, it gives you a couple years to have something for them. If they don't turn out, you can still trade them and. Just don't wait until they get Yakupov levels of value.
Yeah, and then there's like Dallas, who just legitimately. No, the funny thing is, New Jersey Devils and the Dallas. I was about to call them the Cowboys. Dallas Stars are both teams where their biggest positional need are defensemen, and there really isn't that many good defensemen in the top 3.
Stars, I'd say goaltending.
No, I'd say defensemen still. Like, yes, they have, they need goaltending, but with the offseason the way it is, they could try to go for Gruber or Grauber or whatever his name is.
Grubauer?
Gruber, and they could try to swing that over and see if he can't play a full season.
The Stars will be an interesting mix because they have $10 million tied up in their goaltenders, but if you look at their cap situation, if they get rid of one of those goaltenders, or if they can convince Vegas to take one, then that opens up a lot of cap space for somebody like maybe Kevin Shattenkirk, who wants to stay in the States and wants to play on a team that's going to have options in a few years. And, you look at that, but that's a whole other ballgame. But this really, honestly, who gets screwed the most here is probably the Coyotes.
Yes.
And I mean the Canucks. I couldn't give less of a shit about the Canucks because their fans are assholes. But
see with the Canucks, it's sort of like I respect what's going on with you here, but you sort of should have seen this coming.
Couldn't give less of a shit. Next year they're gonna be bad. Next year that was kind of a given, regardless of whether or not they got this first overall or second overall. Next year has a crap ton of really, really good defensemen coming up. So you have to almost wonder if they'll be. They'll be selling again, but you almost have to wonder if maybe they'll be selling later picks for more picks next year. It sounds dumb, but
maybe
next year it's a deeper draft again. This year's a really shallow draft. Next year's a much deeper draft for defensemen. Dahlin and I think Lindgren are the 2 for next year. I think are the 2 big ones.
Lindgren is this year.
This year,
so Dahlin and then
he's the big one.
The other ones. He's the big fish.
Yeah. There was also one guy this year that received exceptional last year. No, for next year.
It is this year.
Who is it that received exceptional
Oh no,
status?
so it's next year. You're right.
Next year, yeah. Yeah, and he's turning into a bit of a Sean Day, allegedly.
They said yes and no. Like
Who's
if
this?
I'll have to look up the names, but continue on. I'll look it up. Don't worry. I'm the one that brought it up.
Joseph Villino.
Yeah. Is that who it is?
I think so. Tavares, Ekblad, McDavid, Sean Day, Joe Villino.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, this year...
Joe Villino, yeah.
At what, 16 years old, he still put up 13 goals, 27 points, or 27 assists for 40 points in 45 games.
It is the QMJHL.
Yeah. I mean, he's a centerman, but it's like he's also still... He just hit 6 foot. Like, he's still growing. He's 16.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be... Maybe he's not going to be...
189, 6 foot. Holy shit, dude.
Part of the process for evaluating this, which we can do I can do like a full video on this, is evaluating their social structure, their mental aspects, and everything else. So part of that evolves is your mental capabilities in the game. So it'll be interesting to see what develops, but I think he's going to be somebody to watch for the next couple of years. He might not be Ekblad, but he could be a good defenseman.
Mm-hmm. So then, obviously, the interesting topic in all of this would be, because these are teams that don't necessarily need these top-level exceptional talents, although they could definitely do it, and that would be very useful for them. Do you see a situation in which they're trading something for, say, a top-level goaltender, defenseman, or something they would like?
I can see Dallas doing it, trading their number 3 pick. I think number 1 and 2 will probably not be traded. Dallas, I can definitely see them get a trading. They need defensemen, kind of like you said, and the defensemen at the top of this draft are just kind of Yeah, I think maybe there's a couple of power forwards that are a little further down in the top 10. Owen Tippett and Michael Rasmussen are 2 names that come to mind. So I think that one of them could go along with Jamie Benn and maybe replace what they lost when they let Valery Nichushkin go back to Russia.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the top 1 and 2 picks, I don't think those are moving.
I mean, it makes sense realistically because the Flyers need a forward prospect.
Yeah.
He's your forward prospect, Nolan Patrick, and then the Devils need a forward. Devils need defensemen or forward prospects anyway. So it's like they're good for either or. But yeah, I think if there's going to be a pick that's going to be traded, maybe the Canucks might trade up. Maybe the Coyotes might trade up. You know, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Kings. Well, if we look at the Knights, if they might trade up or down, because if they get a particular player they want in the expansion draft, or if they say don't take this guy, we'll give you this in return. That might be something to look for too.
Wow,
we can discuss that later time though.
You know, it's not a great draft here when like Cole Maker of from the AJHL is in the top 10 for likely draft picks.
Who do you play for?
The Brooks Bandits.
Brooks Bandits. Hey man, they did the same thing last year with Tyson Jost. He played for the DHL for Penticton, and
he's been great. He looks like he's going to be fantastic. So yeah, okay, I'm going to eat my own words there. That's for sure. But,
it doesn't always work out though, because Joe Colburn actually did the same thing, and he's an NHL player, but he never quite worked out as a top 10.
Yeah. I would say he's an NHL player, but he's close to retirement now. He's what, 25?
Yeah. Colborne was drafted 16th overall in 2008. So right
by
after
Toronto,
Erik Karlsson. No, by Boston.
Boston.
So he came to Toronto in the Thomas Caberlet trade.
Ooh. Oh, Kyle Yamamoto might be drafted pretty high. That could be a guy that we go for, depending on how we place. Just for like an X factor. I don't know. Anyway, that sort of wraps up everything. We'll be talking more about draft lottery after the playoffs end, obviously enough. But thank you very much. I'll let James was the one that introduced us, so I will let either James or Adam finish us off.
Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, or thanks for watching the VOD on YouTube. Like the video if you liked it, or comment. Follow us on Twitter. Once again, My name is James. With me is Arun, ArunaTick5 on Reddit, and Adam Schweet 44722. You can catch us on the Edmonton Oilers subreddit if you want to talk shit. And that's about it. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
All right, peace. I'm pulling up OBS to cut this off, so see ya.